We're seeing huge box office news for some studios and a devastating blow for other ones. Right now, Warner Brothers is actually doing really well with the number 1 and number 2 spot at the domestic box office, with Barbie maintaining its number 1 position and newcomer Meg 2 taking up the number 2 spot. That's beating out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which actually got the number 3 spot on its opening weekend, followed by Oppenheimer, which is now at the 4th place in the box office. So let's jump down into this article right now. Greta Gerwig's Barbie crossed another $53 million domestically as it hit $459.4 million in North America and crosses $1 billion globally on Sunday, in a huge win for Warner Brothers and Mattel. Barbie led another huge movie-going weekend, even as the dual strikes threatened the gains theatrical is making. Combined domestic revenue for all films came in at around $180 million, up a staggering 90% from the same frame last year, and even 19% up over 2019. So in other words, anyone who tries to say the studio or the theaters aren't back in full swing following the pandemic shutdowns and everything like that, I mean, you can just ignore that, because we're seeing right now this is up from 2019 numbers. Did it take a little while for the summer movie season to come into full swing? Yeah, it did. But I think that's less to do with the fact that people weren't willing to come out the theaters and more the fact that people are just more selective about the movies that they actually go see. If the pandemic did anything, it just made it where people are more restrictive on what they're actually going to spend their money, and combine that with a troubled economy right now, and people are not willing to just shell out a bunch of money for entertainment unless it's something they really want to see. So if anything, studios should take away from this is just make better stuff that people actually want to see, and that's what we're seeing movies like Barbie and The Meg actually shooting up. I mean, yeah, The Meg, it's funny, I mean, coming in at the number 2 spot, just a dumb monster movie, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's just a dumb, fun summer monster movie. So what? I mean, it doesn't have to be anything deep or philosophical. I mean, we have movies like Oppenheimer for that. I mean, people can watch that, and that's still out there, and it's still doing really well in its 3rd weekend. Right here it says Universal. Oppenheimer, like Barbie, remained a force of nature in its 3rd outing as it raced past 500 million worldwide in North America. It earned $28.7 million for a domestic tally of $228.6 million. Overseas, it earned another $52.8 million for an offshore haul of $552.9 million, which is incredible right now. And that actually places it the highest grossing World War II movie of all time, which is just something to behold right there. And of course, this isn't the same with all the other studios right now, because right here, elsewhere, Disney's live-action Haunted Mansion continued to scare off audiences. It plunged 63% in the sophomore outing to $9 million for a domestic tally of $42 million and $59.6 million globally. And that's on a budget of around $150 million. I mean, you can see the box office tallies right here. I mean, I don't think this has Sunday's numbers in it, so take that with a grain of salt, but you can see, yeah, Barbie number 1, Meg 2, then Oppenheimer, Haunted Mansion. Sound of Freedom is still hanging in there really strong right now. But I mean, just the fact that Haunted Mansion, I mean, well, this is even bigger, 73.2% drop in the box office, which means people just don't want to go see it. After the opening weekend, people were kind of iffy on it because the critics initially gave it bad reviews right now, but so far the audience score isn't too bad for it, and Disney was hoping that maybe word of mouth would help propel it. But I mean, as we can see from this box office drop with it, that no one is actually going to go see this movie and no one cares. And this was my opinion before, where it's like, well, Disney is kind of a damaged brand to the point where it's like, I'm not sure whether people are going to go see it because just automatically. In the past, people would just go see a Disney movie as soon as it came out. And now it's kind of at that point where I was thinking like, well, maybe it's more or less people have to hear about good word of mouth before they're willing to give the movie a chance. And we actually had decent word of mouth for this movie, but people just don't want to see it, which is even worse for Disney, because not only is it a damaged brand that people don't trust immediately, but it's a damaged brand where people just don't want to trust or just don't want to give it money at all. I mean, even if the movie is supposedly decent, people just don't want to see it right now because of what they've done to their image. I mean, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've been inserting themselves into political issues that shouldn't have had any business in, and they're trying to push messaging in their shows and movies and things like that. That's something that they've actually outright admitted to, and that turns off a lot of the family demographic. And unfortunately for them, the family demographic is who pays the bills for them. So we're seeing right now just kind of all that play out right now. I mean, Warner Brothers Discovery, like I said, they did really well, which is probably why they reported a good earnings number. I mean, they're saving a lot of money from the strikes and stuff like that going on. I mean, that was just reported a couple of days ago, and now they're actually having good movies at the box office. So they're going to do fine. Meanwhile, you got Disney, which has been suffering at the box office this whole year, and they've been personally attacked by all the people on strike right now. And rumors have it that they're looking to sell off a bunch of their properties or whatever just to pay down the debt. So I mean, while some studios might be okay from the strikes going on, I mean, Disney doesn't seem to be one of them right now. And with the Haunted Mansion director actually failing, obviously, at the box office with a budget of $150 million for it, I mean, there's no wonder that they actually just fired him in a pretty unceremonious manner. I mean, it was obviously not a good move for them to do it that way, but at the same, I mean, it's kind of tacky, but at the same time, it just goes to show they do not care about this guy at all. I mean, they gave him a chance, he failed, and now they're doing this. But I mean, I honestly don't think it's him necessarily entirely at fault with this. A lot of this is just simply the fact that people don't like Disney products anymore, and until they actually do some real overhaul with the company, I don't see that being fixed. Maybe the only solution is literally to fire all the higher ups or whatever and replace them with people, and then to try to rebuild that confidence in the product again. But I don't see that happening unless they literally do sell off their properties, and then people will probably be more inclined to watch it when under new management. But I don't know. I mean, that's still a gambit right there, and we don't know what's going to happen and what the future holds. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments, and if you like this video, make sure to click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.